Hey guys, it's Rosie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be building a kind of family farm. My idea for this was that it was once used as a fully functional farm, and then a family moved in and kind of renovated it into more of a kind of more like a home, basically, where they have like a lot of like open spaces for their children and stuff. And this is actually inspired by my grandparents' house. They lived on like a huge plot of land. My mom like grew up there, and it was basically like the idea of my grandfather's property was that his dad was a farmer, and then basically what happened was when he passed away, my grandfather inherited his house, which was like this kind of farmland. But my grandfather was actually a author, so he wasn't really an author. He was a journalist who like wrote he wrote columns about life in the local newspaper here, and he was well known in that aspect back when he was working as a journalist. But basically, my grandfather kind of kept the land the way that it was, and he kept the house the same, and he had like this huge like open plot kind of idea where like there was a lot of space for his kids to run around and a lot of different things. So I kind of made a family based on my mom's family to move in here, because this is not like real. It's not really designed to be a farm. It's more like a renovated farm into like a sort of family friendly kind of thing. That's like it has a lot of like kid stuff, and it's not really like focused on the farming aspect. But my grandma was really into gardening when she lived here, because obviously she had a lot of space for it. So I put in a bunch of gardening stuff, or there's still like a plot of land that I have that's up near the front that I used as an area that was sort of for gardening. So I decided that the people who live here would probably still have some gardening, because they do live on kind of a farm. So what I'm doing now is adding these fences. This was really inspired by my grandfather's old house. They had fences that were a little bit older, and they were kind of overgrown hedges with fencing in between. I don't really know how that ever developed, but basically what it was I think the fencing was once kind of everywhere, and then they put like hedges in places where the fencing was getting older, or maybe there was always hedges and then they put in fencing that once the hedges kind of wore off or something, but it looked kind of overgrown and cool. So I kind of tried to replicate that in this build. So all the paths have this like hedge and fence mixed thing going on. A lot of this, I decided to make a lot of the areas kind of overgrown, because this lot is 64 by 64, so it's like the biggest lot that you can have in the game. And yeah, I was kind of trying to figure out like different areas and which places were going to be used as certain things. And I wanted to put in the like pool area, which is supposed to look kind of like, you'll see when I go back to that, it looks sort of like a pond. I wanted it to look very like outdoorsy, like not like a man-made pool, because my grandfather they had one of those at my mom's house when she was little. It was like a swimming pond. It wasn't on the property. I don't think it was like just out of the property, but it was in walking distance. So I kind of wanted to replicate that, but I didn't want it to look super man-made, and like I wanted it to look more natural. So I put that you see it there. I put the pool in, and I made it that kind of greenish color so it looked more natural. Just working on the fencing. Oh, I jump around a lot in this video because it was getting a little bit long when I was editing it. I was like, oh my god, nobody wants to sit down and watch a 40-minute video of landscaping. So to kind of compensate for that, I split the video off into 2 sections because this was a daunting project. So I split it off into 2 sections. I do the interior of the house and the barn in the next part, and in this part I'm going to do the landscaping and kind of the outdoor stuff. Now I probably do add some more outdoor stuff once I get into the inside and I start seeing things that I missed on the outside, so I just go back in and plop them into the landscaping outdoors. So yeah, so I'm just adding in I'm adding in some rocks right now because I think they look super realistic. Once the whole thing it kind of looks weird right now. It looks like a giant tree, but once I put in like the kind of overgrown areas and stuff like that and the trees and stuff, it ends up working out really nicely. Okay, so I'm throwing in I'm trying to make a tree house here, and I wanted to use this tree. I've done this before when I was building for myself, and I built it with this tree, and I find that this is pretty much the only tree that we can really use. I see a lot of builders when they're doing tree houses use that like stump chair. The only thing about using an actual tree is that it kind of disappears once you like get close, which is good. Obviously, it's good because then I can see what's happening inside, but it kind of looks like a floating room. But you know what it is anyway, so it's fine. So I'm just throwing that in there. I also really hate that we don't have ladders in The Sims 4. I loved all the the spiral staircases in The Sims 3, and also the ladder. I use that all the time because I do like to put tree houses in the backyard of especially like family homes and stuff. A main reason that I decided to build this house was because the new Parenthood pack came out, and I think a lot of the stuff in the Parenthood pack are kind of like country, kind of shabby chic-ish, and like it just reminded me of like kind of, well, obviously very like family oriented kind of stuff, like the kitchen specifically, all the items that we got in the kitchen are a lot reminded me of like a farm or like a kind of country style. So I'm just adding in some shrubs and stuff here to make it look more realistic. Those not shrubs, what are they, like ferns? They look really realistic in the game. They make everything kind of look put together. So you can see it's kind of coming together here. And that's the giant plot of like the farming area that I decided to put in. And I don't put anything in there because I figured that I could actually use it as a plot for farming. So I didn't put anything in there. When I move in, I actually made a family for this house too. It's inspired, like I said, by my my mom's family when she was little. In the family, my mom is the toddler in the family, and she has 4 siblings. She's the youngest of 5. So I thought that was a nice family unit, and I thought that would be like a cool, like this lot is huge and has a lot of space, and I thought it would be a cool idea. And also I was like kind of thinking about like my aunts and my uncles, because I'm close with all of them, and they all have very distinct personalities from each other. So it's fun because they're like, it's fun to play families in The Sims where like you have one like super like creative person, one super sporty kind of person, other things like that. And I was like kind of thinking about them, and I was like, whoa, like that would be like a fun family to play. So I'm going to put them up on the gallery when I upload this house too, so you'll be able to play with them if you want to. I'm just adding this kind of like area right here. I remember this specifically in my grandfather's house. There was a what is that thing called? A horseshoe, like throwing area. It was like that horseshoe game was exactly what it was like, except for it was kind of just in the ground. But I decided that I was going to put in a little area for that because I wanted to fill up this space in the front. And I was looking at the outdoor activities and I was like, oh, that'd be cute. We'll just add in a little bit, like a little horseshoe area. So you'll see in a lot of this area, it kind of looks a little bit overgrown, which was the look that I was going for. In my mind, well, I was obviously creating this with my grandparents in mind. And like I said, my grandfather was a journalist and my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, and she did love to garden. So, but I'm sure that her garden and like was pretty huge kind of thing. So it was probably a little bit overgrown. The garden, her house now, they don't live here anymore. My grandfather passed away before I was, he passed away when I was just born, but I think that I was like maybe like 6 months old when he passed away, so I didn't really know him. I obviously know lots of stories about him. But my grandmother lived in here for a long time after, and then she moved because it was a little bit daunting. It's a huge space. This isn't exactly what it looks like, but it's not exactly as I remember it because I don't really remember it that detailed. I have pictures and stuff of it, but I remember the horseshoes because she took those with her, and we used those in her backyard. But even when she moved out of this kind of like farmy area, she still kept a really beautiful garden, but it was always very like intense, and she liked to have a lot of flowers and stuff. So I would imagine that the people who live here, I imagine it like my grandmother is taking care of all of these flowers and making sure that all the hedges and stuff are like in line. But there's obviously going to be some spaces that are kind of overgrown because it's huge. So yeah, that was my thought when I was doing like the kind of overgrown areas and stuff like out in the front here. There, in the garden patch, the little garden patch, I don't know if you saw me making that. I'm sure I'm going to pop back to it in a second. I decided to put flowers in there because my grandma kept a rose garden. She was very protective over her rose garden. She kept it very neat and tidy and perfect. So I put a little garden in there to kind of wink at that. You can see me jumping around a little bit in this video. When I was editing, I knew that it was going to be super long and I didn't want anybody to have to stand and watch a 50-minute video of me putting in rocks and stuff. But I give you the basic idea. I just put rocks around that pathway and you can see that now. So I wanted the trees to be kind of big. I ended up getting rid of that giant tree in the front because I realized, oh my god, that's so big. But I wanted the trees to be kind of like huge, like they've been there for a long time or something like that. That was my idea with that. I'm just looking at trees. So yeah. So as I was saying, the idea of this house was that the people that live here don't really use it as a fully functional farm, which kind of goes with The Sims 4 because we don't have any farm animals. Oh, I'm really upset about that actually because I've been hearing like rumors about the Sims 4 pets or a version of pets like The Sims 3 pets. And in The Sims 3 pets, I don't know if you guys have played that game, but we had horses. I used to love to play with horses because I used to ride horses when I was little. And I loved it. It was like one of the best experiences. And I love to play with the horses in The Sims 3. But I've been hearing a lot of rumors about The Sims pets coming out maybe soon. And it's rumored that it's just cats and dogs, which is nice, but not as nice as like a full, like, can you imagine if we had like farm animals like chickens and cows and you could like move them in? So yeah, I was inspired by by my mom's house when she was little. So like it was more family oriented, less farmy, and they didn't have any animals. They had like a dog, and it was just kind of farm area, and they had like made the barn. My two uncles, the family was like had 5 kids. Two My two uncles are the eldest, so they're the two boys, and then 3 girls, and two of my aunts. I'm not gonna say their name because I feel like I don't want to like step on anybody's toes or anything. Um, but my aunts that are older than my mom, they're twins, so I made them in The Sims, and I'll move them in, and I'll put them on the gallery when I put up this house, like I said. But my uncles were older, so they were like teenagers when my aunts were younger, and or like kids basically. And you'll see that when I have the when I move the family in, and I'll post it on the gallery. But my uncles decided to move into the barn. So basically what happened was I think they had 4 bedrooms. I think I'm going to do 4 bedrooms in this house. They had 4 bedrooms, and two of my uncles were sharing their bedroom because they had like the big room. I remember this because my mom used to always tell me about how my grandma would like gave up her like the master bedroom for like her kids for my uncles because she knew that somebody had to share a room. So they had like this great big room, and it was like really nice, and they were like sharing it, and then they decided that they wanted to have their own kind of space that was like more secluded, so they moved out to the barn and they renovated it. There's pictures of it I would show, but I don't really want to kind of show them on YouTube. But there are pictures of them like kind of renovating it, and they set it up really nicely. They set it up, and they had friends there, and they had like a little like hangout area, and then they had their like bedrooms, and like they it was kind of it wasn't like super professionally done. I'm sure my grandma probably wasn't 100% on board for it when they first started doing it. She was probably like, I don't know, I don't really think that that's the best idea. Maybe you can if you want to, but I think at the end of the day it was kind of like, if you want to have your own space as teenagers, and you can have your own space as teenagers. And I'm sure they understood. There was like 2 little girls and a toddler girl in the house, so there was a lot of like, there wasn't a lot of testosterone. Although I'm sure it all worked out in the end. My uncles were very sporty people. One of them was very creative, but the other one was very sporty, and I feel like they were like wanted to. My grandfather, like I said, was a creative writer, journalist, so he was very creative, and I'm sure my uncle, who was very sporty, kind of didn't have an outlet, so he would go out a lot in the woods and go fishing and stuff like that. So it's cool. I like the idea of having the teenage boys sleeping in the barn, or like the renovated kind of barn. And I haven't done the interior as I'm speaking this, as I'm doing this voiceover right now. I haven't done the interior part of the barn yet, so I may do like split it off into 2 sections, or I may like have like the bedroom kind of connected with like a like curtain coming down, because I'm not going off exactly what the rooms look like. And this house is not exactly like the pictures of my grandparents' house, but it's just inspired by it. So yeah, I'm just working on the pool now. I was trying to make it look super kind of, I didn't want it to look like it was I wanted it to look like it was a pond, like it occurred naturally. So I didn't want to put in, I wanted to put in some like terrain paints that looked kind of like mossy and stuff like that, and I put rocks around the side. I wanted to put in that shower again, because I was thinking of the last build I did. I don't know if you watched that. The last build I did was a speed build of a cottage, a fairy tale style cottage, and I put the shower outside, and so now I'm like into doing that all over the place, and I thought this was a good place to do it again, but I took it out because I was like, don't repeat yourself, don't copy yourself over and over and over again, do the same thing. So I'm just putting in a little monkey bars there. I thought that looked really nice, so the kids can kind of play, and it's right next to the treehouse, which I'm going to fill up with toys, and it's going to be nice. And this area I'm turning into a yoga kind of area. One of my aunts, she's super into yoga. She's actually a yoga instructor. It's funny that I'm thinking about all these people, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys fit perfectly into the Sims, so I had to make them. But she does yoga all the time. She's always like, come to Pilates with me, come to yoga with me. So she loves it. And she's really good. She's really good. She super, like, into, like, her spirituality, and, like, it's nice. She kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys watch Deligracy. She's a sim creator on YouTube. She's really great. I love watching her videos. They give me a lot of inspiration. But she has a new, like, Parenthood LP, and she has the character of, oh, what's her name? The grandmother character. She is, like, exactly like my aunt. She's into, like, her spirituality, and, like, she's very, like, oh yeah, it reminded me of her when I watched that video. So I'm just adding some more, like, hedges and stuff around. This is, like, the kind of overgrown area like I was talking about, because my grandmother would have been really into doing, like, you see, like, her perfect little flower garden there. She would have been super into, like, making that kind of perfect. And then she would have had other areas that are sort of overgrown. I think it looks really beautiful. I think it looks kind of cool. That's a big shrub. I think I get rid of that little thing later on, because that looks pretty intense. Although it doesn't look that bad. Kind of looks overgrown, jungly. So yeah, I'm just adding that kind of stuff in. I definitely get rid of that, because I do not like that. I'm looking at that right now, and I'm like, you better get rid of that. I probably do. Although it doesn't look as bad when I'm adding more and more flowers and stuff like that. So that's the little pathway leading. Okay, I did get rid of it. Good job. So I think, what am I doing now? I think I'm about to hide the stairs to the treehouse, because I think, like I said, it's so annoying that we don't have ladders in Sims 4. They should add those. I would really love them. But especially for tree houses. And, like, I would use it, like, in this build a lot, I would like to use it inside the barn to make, like, a little loft. That would be so cool. I know I could do it without a ladder. I just think it would take up too much space to put in stairs, and then I don't want to put it in stairs, and then I just get annoyed with it. So I would have put a ladder in the barn. I would have put a ladder on the tree house. You know, at the end of the day, everybody wants what they can have, or everybody wants what they don't have. So, if the Sims gave me everything that I wish for, I'd be like, oh, now I want this, or whatever. Because that's the way the world works. So I should just be appreciative. But it's good to be critical, and it's good to say what you would like. I mean, I would pay for it and buy it. So it's not like I feel gypped or anything. I just would like to see it. And I know a lot of people always say, just download some custom content and it'll be fine. Just add in some, like, ladders. I'm like, oh, a lot of people disagree with me. I really don't like custom content in The Sims 4, because I feel like a lot of the custom content doesn't go with the aesthetic of the game. So, like, there's a couple of items even in the catalog that I don't think really match the aesthetic. the fluffy rug almost edges on into the world of custom content, and I'm like, oh, like it makes it. I like to put it in sometimes, especially if I have a lot of stuff on, like covering it. But sometimes it like edges into the world of custom content, and I'm like, ugh. Like, I just don't. I don't think it matches the aesthetic, especially when you have like a full character, like a full sim with all custom content, hair, clothes, everything. It makes me. It just doesn't match. Like you see people walking down the street, and they don't match at all. Oh, I mean, obviously, no offense if you use custom content in your game and you like it, that's totally fine. I'm sure it's lots of fun to just kind of have whatever you think you would need. Like, oh, I'll just add a tractor here because I'm doing a farm. But I just think it doesn't match the aesthetic, and I don't want to like change it. But I do have some custom content hairs in the game and some toddler clothes because we don't have a lot of toddler clothes. I probably wouldn't use it if I was doing an LP or something like that. But I always max this match because I feel like max this match is definitely the way to go. Although some people will disagree. You know what? To each their own. Everybody can like what they like and not like what they don't like. But my pet peeve in custom content is when something custom content has like words on it that are English because or any lettering that's like normal human lettering. I get angry at that because it doesn't match because obviously in The Sims everybody speaks Simlish. So and you can see and in the Dine Out game pack there is some Simlish lettering things and you can see that. I think that matches. You can put little shirts with those on it, but I don't like it when you see like shirts with like Cinderella on it or something like that. It doesn't match. That doesn't exist in The Sims. So if you don't like Max's match, then you probably won't like a lot of my builds and stuff. But if you like custom content, you can always download it and then put in the custom content if you want. That would be totally fine too. You know, to each their own. I also feel like when I used to play The Sims 3, I used custom content stuff all the time because I like to build the houses. I felt like it matched a little bit more with The Sims 3. The Sims 4 has more of a cartoony kind of look to The Sims. I don't know if people notice that or agree with me at all, but they look a little bit more like a cartoon that you would see, less than like an actual human being. So I could use the custom content a little bit more in The Sims 3, but I realized it slowed down my game so much, and it was like almost to a point where it was impossible to play. Yeah, I mean that always happens. That's why they do multiple Sims, because then you download a new game, completely new, and you get to start over kind of thing. Because at the end, I know that a lot of people were saying that The Sims 4 is almost impossible to play because it was so... Or not The Sims 4, sorry. The Sims 3 was almost impossible to play because it was so overflowing with things. Like, there were so many stuff packs and so many expansions that it was just overwhelming. This lot would look so pretty if it was, like... If you could see it in fall with, like, all, like, the flowers and stuff getting, like, a different... like tinge and like the tree is turning red. Oh, I really want seasons in the game too. I want. I'm being kind of selfish, or I'm being kind of needy, greedy. It's okay. I'm sure we'll come out with it eventually, or something along the lines. I remember when The Sims 3 seasons came out, I was so excited. It was like changed the game for me. It made it so much nicer. Like I like to build things when it snows, and I like to make snowy mountains. Oh, mountains. And we also need terrain tools. I need terrain tools so bad. I'm literally just like, this video is just me whining about all the things that I don't have. But the terrain tools, like, we don't have them in The Sims 4, so everything is flat. And it makes me a little bit sad sometimes. Like, when you're trying to build a mountain, you kind of have to, I mean, it makes you be more creative, which is good. It's good to have some creativity. It's good to have to kind of make things work. Character building. But I kind of want it back. Sometimes I go back to The Sims 3 and just kind of raise the terrain and lower it and then leave because the game is so overflowing with stuff that it crashes. But yeah, I do like the terrain tools. I like to raise things and lower things and create like more natural looking lakes like that. Like, although I added rocks around it and tried to make it look as natural as possible, it doesn't look completely natural, which is kind of to be expected because we can't really make anything like that. Oh, so I'm putting in all these decorations now because I wanted to put in some outdoor decorations, which I sometimes forget, and especially because I wanted to split off this video into 2 parts, the terrain painting and the outdoors, and then the indoors. I kind of wanted to not forget to add the decorations because sometimes I forget, and then I just go back later on and add a bunch of decorations that I missed. And some little gnomey friends. So I think this build is again built in Windenburg. I think, yeah. Which is the pack that we got, or the world that we got with Get Together. And in the last video I said that Get Together was the first expansion pack. That's not right. Get to Work was the first expansion pack. So I'm sorry if anybody got like angry at me for that, but I know I made a mistake and I fixed my mistake. So I'm just finishing up, adding a couple of decorations around. So I'll be posting the second video of this soon. I'm going to be doing the inside and then decorating it, and then I'll upload the whole house and I'll put in some people and I'll upload the people that I decide to move in, which is inspired off of my family. So I hope you guys will enjoy that, and I'll put the screenshots of the whole build in the second part. So I think we're coming to the end now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Subscribe and like it if you haven't already, if you enjoyed. And I hope you have a beautiful day, guys. See you later.